Hey, and welcome to this tutorial for the Galway Girl in the original key of D on the baritone ukulele. This is a great Celtic sounding song that was written by Steve Earle and Sharon Shannon and released in the year 2000. It went on to be released by another Irish artist by the name of Mundy, who had a #1 hit with it. This lesson is going to be focusing on the melody used in that version. There's sort of more Celtic trills. I'm going to show you the melody first, and at the end there will be chords and strumming. There's timestamps below for your convenience in case you'd like to skip ahead or revisit something in the future. So in order to play the melody for this song, you're going to need to know how to play the D major scale. Now I'm using very specific fingering for this particular arrangement, and it's not necessarily what you would always do. In fact, I encourage the use of the pinky. But I know a lot of people don't like to use their pinky, so I'm going to leave the pinky out altogether. So starting out on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, and then 5, 2 on the bottom string, 3, 5. Now here we're going to slide up and use our first finger on 7, and then 9 and 10. So all together. And back the other way. One more time. Okay, you'll need to practice that a few times so you can develop some muscle memory. So it starts off using a hammer, and later on we're going to have a pull-off. So that's when you strike the note and then come down with your other finger with some force for the hammer, and in the reverse for the pull-off. Later on we're going to have 3 notes doing a pull-off, and we're also going to have a hammer from 2 to 5. So be ready. Let's look at this phrase by phrase. So the very first phrase is this. That's finger 1. Very important that you use finger 1 for this one, because that phrase is going to happen quite a lot. And if you try to do it from here, it's going to be quite awkward, and you'll have to use your pinky. So as a rule, whenever you play the D note, first finger, okay? So the first phrase, we've got that hammer to 5, come down to fret 2, string 1, back to 5, and then back to your D. Next phrase, so hammer, you've got a hammer on and a pull off, and then pluck, hammer from 2 to 5. All together. Okay, now we're going to slide up and use our first finger on fret 7. So we have a hammer, and then 10, and then back to 9. Now we're going to do a trill. So that's hammer and a pull off, and then end up on fret 10 of the 2nd string. So altogether that phrase is if we put it together with the first whole phrase, okay, one more time. Now that trill is not a triplet, it's actually a 16th note. So it sounds like this. It's very hard to tell the difference at this tempo. As always, the tab and the song sheet, and in this case, practice MP3s, are available at my Patreon page, patreon.com/Uke Mullum. Head over there and grab it now. One more time from the top. Now we're going to go back down to 3 where we started and hammer. 3 to 5, 2 to 5. And slide this finger up. Then slide it back down to 5. Okay, that little move is all 3 of those notes are at 1 pluck, and then you land on 3, and keep that 3 there so that when those 2 notes resonate together, you're getting your D chord. If you were to do this, you end up with those notes resonating, which isn't completely undesirable, but it's better if you get this. So you just keep that finger there while you play that note. Yep. And then we have open E string. So that's hammer, pull off, hammer, pull off, 2 hits on the D. Now, I've broken the rule already and I've used my second finger for that note. And in this case, you definitely want to use your first finger there. So it should look like this. Because the very next phrase is a repeat of what we just did. So that whole entire thing that we just learned happens twice with a slightly different ending. On the second time through, you go straight into that little phrase there. One more time. Now we're going to slide up here to the 7th fret. Okay. So that was a slide from here, and we're going to slide our first finger up to 9, and then come down with your next finger for 10, and then we've got this figure, so that's a hammer and a pull off, and then we're going to switch to the second finger to do a hammer, and then another pull off and a hammer. So altogether the phrase is okay. Now this is the tricky part. So we're taking the same finger, the 3rd finger, to 10. So you will need to practice that. Luckily they both have dots, or mine does. You can't see them, they're on the side here. So from there we go 3 plucks, and then I'm going to swap my finger from the 1st to the 3rd, so I'm in this position to play that figure that we did earlier. And then we finish with the open string. Just like before. Okay, I'm going to play the whole thing through really slowly for you, and with a metronome, and you can practice. Remember, there's practice MP3s available over at the Patreon page. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Probably should have finished on that one. Get in the habit of making the first finger on fret 3. Okay, for the strumming we're going to use this pattern. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. The thing about this strum, and any strum for that matter, is you really do need to have the accent on the 2 and the 4. Basically, try to keep the strums really quiet, except for the accents. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, down. Okay, let's have a look at the chords. So there's 4 chords in total. We've got the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the 6 chord. Very common chord progression. So we're in the key of D, so we've got D, E, F, G is the 4, A is the 5, B minor is the 6. The 1 chord is the D. I like to use that chord for my 4 chord, which is a G. And all I'm doing is keeping that shape there, putting my pinky on the bottom string on the 3rd fret and removing that finger. And then I have a G, 5. So that means there's no 3 in the chord, 1, 3, 5. That's what usually makes up a triad. We've just got 1 and 5 twice. Repeated in octaves. It's a power chord. Okay, the 5 chord is your A, and the 6 chord is B minor. Okay, so the form of the song goes like this. You have your intro. Well, I took a stroll on the old long walk of a day, and right there we've gone to the 4 chord. And now we're going to do a thing called the dip. So the dip is these chords together. B minor, A, G to D. One more time. B minor, A, G to D. So we're going to change the strum a little bit here because we're changing every 2 beats. So we have down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, okay? And at the end of the dip, in the verses, we go back to the D, to the A, to the D. I'll sing the whole first verse for you. Well, I took a stroll on the old long walk of the day, met a little girl and we stopped to talk on a fine soft day, Straight back to the 4 chord, the G, and I ask you, friend. And again, what's 2 beats? What's a fella to do? Now here we go to the dip, and from here, because we're on the D chord already, to get to the B minor, you can just put your pinky on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, 'cause her hair was black and her eyes were blue. And I knew right then I'd be taking a whirl round the Salt Hill prom with a Galway girl. Okay, that's the verse. And in the instrumental section, we use slightly different chords. We don't use the B minor in that part. I'll just play it for you. It goes like this. Da 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 da. So in that last bar, it's actually a 2/4 bar. But let's not even go there. If I try to tell you what's really happening, it'll probably confuse you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me all the way to the end of the video. Gold star for you. Now go and download the tab, the song sheet, and the practice MP3s and practice along with Mundy. See you in the next one.
For now's the time to close your eyes and dream about